Hi boys and girls, Mrs. Brown here. This week we're going to learn about apples. Our story today is called Apples by Gail Gibbons. Apples. An apple is a fruit. It grows on an apple tree. Apple trees grow in more parts of the world than any other fruit tree. They have been in existence for about 2 million years. The first American colonists brought apple seeds and seedlings with them from England. A seedling is a young, small tree. As the colonists moved westward, they brought apple seeds and seedlings with them. Some settlers found that Native American Indians had already brought apple seeds west and had apple trees growing near their villages. Many times during the early 1800s, John Chapman traveled throughout the wilderness of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Indiana, planting apple seeds. He also gave seeds and seedlings to the settlers there. He became known as Johnny Appleseed. Some apples are grown at home, but most are grown commercially. That means in a big orchard. Each year, about 250 million bushels of apples are grown in the United States, and about 28 million bushels are grown in Canada. Remember, we said a group of apple trees is called an orchard. An apple is a firm, crisp, fleshy fruit with a hard center called a core. The core has 5 seed chambers. And what does that look like? What does those seed chambers look like? Yeah, it looks like a star. So that's the core. This is a Macintosh apple. That's the stem and the leaf. This is the fleshy part they were talking about. That's the part we eat. And the red part is called the skin. In the springtime, flowers called apple blossoms begin to bloom on the apple trees. Each blossom has to be pollinated in order for an apple to grow. The blossoms are usually pollinated by insects or by the wind. So up here it's talking about pollination. Pollination happens when that yellow stuff that's on the flower, inside the flower, when it gets on the insect's feet and then they touch another flower. And that's called pollination. After a while, the blossom begins to die and an apple starts to grow. See right here, you can see where there used to be a flower right up here. Throughout the warm summer, the little apples grow bigger and bigger. During late summer or early fall, the apples ripen. That means they're ready. When trees are loaded with ripe apples, it is harvest time. Workers pick the apples by hand. These baskets are called bushel baskets. Some are shipped to stores. Some are used to make apple juice, apple cider, apple jelly, applesauce, and lots of other apple products. Some are sold in baskets at roadside stands, like a farmer's market. Have you ever seen that at the park? During the fall, it is fun to go apple picking. Also, there are country fairs. Awards are given to the best looking apples, the best tasting apples, apple pies, and the most delicious applesauce. There's apple cider too. During Halloween, there are caramel apples and candy apples. Some people bob for apples. When winter arrives, the apple tree branches become bare. That means empty. The trees will become dormant until next spring. Dormant means alive, but not actively growing. They're kind of like sleeping all winter. When the trees will produce a new crop of apples. These are some common apple types grown in North America. Rome Beauty, McIntosh, Red Delicious, Golden Delicious, Jonathan, Stamen, York, and Granny Smith. Some tastes are sweet and some are tart. All apples have different shades of yellow, green, and red, or a mixture of those colors. So how many colors can apples be? Yellow, green, and red. That's 3. An apple tree will not grow apples until it is about 5 to 8 years old. Each spring, the tree branches are trimmed, and this is called pruning. That's what they're doing here. Most apple trees grow to be about 20 feet tall. The soil around the trees should be fertilized. The pruning and fertilizing helps lots of good apples. See, these are the pruners they're using. So some things you can do, you can make apple pie. If you have a thing called a press, you can make apple cider. There are thousands of different varieties of apples. They are nutritious and delicious. The end.